I love a buttered biscuit.
Happy Sunday, everyone. Well, sort of a happy Sunday, I guess. See all of you fine folks. Hey, Amos Girl, Heidi Proust, Daniel Barry, Ron Lonsinger. Good to see you. Well, good morning. Well, good afternoon. It's almost afternoon. It's morning where everybody else is at. Good job of be getting on doing a little bit this morning. Good to see you, little dog. Glad you could make it in here. Yeah. So, doing a little bit of the looking up through all of this and seeing a bunch of news. And I mean, I found this one like probably one of the most disturbing pieces of news that happened, you know, just well here, I'll just share it with you guys. Janet Doherty passed. She was 53 after a battle of cancer. She passed. It's unfortunate. Unfortunate. So July 13th, he's no longer with us. Funny that was a Republican. Why does the big news happen on Fridays and on the weekend? By the time Monday comes, though, nobody wants to talk about it anymore. Oh, well, I'll be talking about it. Oh, there's going to be lots of news coming out. Oh my, oh my. Hey, Direxie, good to see you. Glad you could make it. Now, there will be plenty of news coming out. But yes, so Shannon, 13th of July, she passed. Um, also, I forgot that she was in Fame, like Dark Heathers. She was in Heathers and 90210. Um, but this one, I totally forgot about that. She was in Playboy. I had no idea. I had no idea. Crazy, crazy, crazy. But yeah, she ended up passing due to cancer. So unfortunate. So unfortunate. I wish, that had not happened, you know. Yeah, she battled long and hard for that. Yeah. Rest in peace, Shannon. Well, she I liked her in Heathers. She did a good job in Heathers. Um she was she did quite a bit. Um she was a registered Republican. Said she realized that the majority of people in the entertainment business happen to be Democrats. I have no problem with that, and they should have no problem with the fact that I'm a Republican. Damn, that's pretty based. Hey, yeah, cancer doesn't care what your social status is. It attacks everyone. Correct. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, maybe she was the angel that guided that the pew stick. I don't know. And of course, I'm sure everybody's been reading the Twitter stuff and have already seen the this right here that everyone's saying that he was a Republican, the pew pewer, uh, and then it appears that um, a lot of people are saying that he's that Democrats will register as Republicans to vote against Trump in the primary. Um, I'm not sure. Um, I'm not sure if that's true. Not true if it's true, but it appears
And
that
also, what will they be looking for at his home?
it appears that the FBI did identify the shooter.
I just talked about. To learn more, one
Yeah.
thing we don't know is the motive. And also, what will they be looking
Oh
for at
no,
his
no
home?
registered.
I just talked.
It is crazy the amount of stuff that came out almost immediately after this happened. Um, a lot of those, a lot of those were not looking good. Um, a lot of what they were saying was, I'll just show you. So this is what they were saying on USA Today. Trump was removed from stage by Secret Service after loud noises startled the former president and crowds. It was published at 6:31 Eastern Time. And then Secret Service rushes Trump off stage after popping noises heard at his Pennsylvania rally. And then Trump injured in an incident at a rally. That was CNN. Trump was off stage in Pennsylvania after loud noises rang through the crowd. Yeah. Really, really, from Little House on the Prairie. You know Little House on the Prairie? I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Boy, they can't say it, can they? No, they were very hesitant about saying Aunt Emma's Girl. They were not wanting to bring this up. It was something that they would hope people wouldn't talk about. Um, and then of course we have a representative from Colorado. Last thing America needed was sympathy. Devil, but here we are. Isn't that amazing? Guy would push that air. Before she almost, yeah. The whole situation with Trump is so suspicious. I don't know until I know a whole lot more. I don't know, but there's not going to be a whole lot of information. This is not uncommon. Not uncommon that they won't give out too much information. Last night I was trying to get it to pull up, and it wasn't working as it should. So I was having a little bit of difficulty with that. Uh, just trying to get it to work like it was supposed to. The sound, I don't think I might have gotten it fixed on this, but it was pretty dark that they were like how much they were holding out on it. Was this?
And it may be an explosive device.
And then how quickly earlier, this goes then, I guess, to the Secret Service, which they're not here to talk about, I guess, but when
Thanks,
you
bud.
guys jumped into action, all law
Mhm.
enforcement, and were able to take down that shooter, how quickly did everybody jump in, and who ended up taking him out?
Someone who does something like that. No, well, they can. Yeah, one headline said after Trump falls, the mainstream media, yes, they are. It was almost immediate that they wanted to not say anything. Um, it is pretty dark, and I'm thankful he's as I said, had a guiding hand.
So it was immediate, and we're still trying to figure that out. So we'll wait till we have more definitive information regarding that investigatively.
With that device, the person in the crowd, do you have any information about how they were killed?
My understanding was it was from the shooter, but again, those will be details that are released later.
Roxanne, that looks like a Corvette, if I'm not mistaken. It'll be a 70s Corvette. That's what it looks like from the angle that I'm looking at. But good to see you, Roxanne. I hope you're doing well. I like your pick there. That's really nice. Little red Corvette. CNN was reporting Trump fell on stage. Yeah, he fell after. Well, no, he actually went down on his own before his Secret Service got in there. Crazy. Local PD should secure the building so the CS were surveying further distances, going with incompetence, communication breakdown on the security now. Yeah, until I know more information, I have a hard time piecing it all together. I'm sure that there's going to be some people that lose their jobs over it. It's become blatantly obvious this man was mentally ill or listened to. I mean, I've heard so many different things. I couldn't tell you which one of them is true. I've heard he was a Democrat. I've heard that he was a Republican. I've heard that he was Antifa. I've heard that people spotted him. Heard that and there's going to be all kinds of conspiracy theories that come out there. Um, I think that the best way that I can look at this is that somebody took a shot at a former president that's currently on a campaign trail. That person was hit, which would be Trump, was hit with a bullet that grazed his ear, and that they managed to eliminate the threat. Not glorifying it, but this is what we know. Certain these things did happen. Um, Now, how it happened, that's not for me to determine. I mean, I can speculate on it. I have no definitive of saying X, Y, or Z happened or didn't happen. What was that? Future litigation headline: Trump died for bleeding on private property. That would be about right. That would be about right. Character limited point is start with a sick bad person, security failure, and then wait for more details. Exactly. That's where you have to stand. Um, I mean, doing any sort of speculation, it could be anything. It could have been one of his supporters. Maybe the person that was behind Trump had a knife. I don't know. All I know is that, oh yeah, thank you, Roxanne. Yeah, I stream over there. Whatever, Twitter is not working for me. It's supposed to be able to stream there, but not whatever reason. Just like it's giving me hell, and so I'm just trying to figure out why it's not working. As soon as I figure that out, um, why it's not, it's not allowing me to stream. We'll figure it out some point in time. I'll probably work on that later tonight to see if I can make this happen. Uh, for some reason, it's giving me a hard time, and hoping that this will eventually get fixed, hopefully, but I don't know. It said that I had to be a verified on here, but for whatever reason, it's not allowing me to post on Twitter. So I'm still figuring this out. Trying to figure it out, I guess, is the best way to look at it. Or to create your space. Oh, it allowed me to create spaces. Huh. Okay, maybe that's what it is. Maybe I have to create a space. I don't know. Weird. Think it has to do with Elon having to lock people from it. I don't know. Yes, there was an interview last night with someone who was there and then saw the inaction of the police after the crowd alerted them before the pew-pews. Yes, but even with eyewitnesses, I have a hard time believing all of the eyewitnesses. Only because I've seen them say things that have been proven to not be correct. Um, so perception is, this is why eyewitnesses aren't always really good. Twitter celebrity, I guess. I mean, I have a channel, whatever that means. We'll see. I'll figure it out eventually. Eventually, I'll make it happen. People from liking certain postings about the pew-pewing, and it wouldn't matter. I haven't been able to get anything to work on the on X since last night whenever I pulled up a stream, and it just said that I had to be a member, a premium member. Oh, don't know at all what's going on with it.
As a part of your method of identifying individuals?
So if that's where the leads take us, absolutely.
Was Donald Trump hit with a bullet, do you know for sure, or was it something else that could?
I don't have that specific information as far as the injuries to the former president.
I understand you're not releasing the suspect's identification right now, but as you know, is this person known to you guys? Is he somebody that you guys have been looking at through the threats he's possibly made online, et cetera, et cetera?
Again, the information that we currently have, we're looking at that obviously very intently. And as we know that information, we'll release that as well. So we'll need to plan another time for a follow-up press
Are you looking at
conference.
surveillance video at all?
We're looking at all investigative leads and all everything from, and that's why we asked the public, because I'm sure there'll be cell phone video, there'll be all kinds of information that we'll use to fully flesh out exactly what happened.
I know you're saying you can't say what type of gun it is, but do you know how many shots were fired?
I don't.
And
I don't have that information as far as that. That'll come out in the investigation as well.
Is there an identification tonight on the other victims?
As far as the civilians,
The civilians that were injured and killed.
yeah.
So we do have identification on those. We're not prepared to release it at this time. We have notified a number of family members, but they have not had an opportunity to notify extended family and things. I would confirm for you that we did have one individual killed, and I know I heard somebody say about 2 victims. There were 3 in total besides the former president. So 2 critically wounded, 1 killed.
At this point, do you know if they were sitting near each other and where in relation to the former president were they?
I don't have their exact seating by individual. Again, that'll all be part of the investigation, but their shots were scattered somewhat, and so they weren't just into one particular location.
you're saying just one fatality as of right now?
Yes,
The shooter and one victim.
the shooter plus 1 fatality.
Did you have a chance yet?
So there was 1 victim of the shooter who was killed, and then the shooter was killed.
And then 2 in critical.
Yes, ma'am.
Witnesses say they saw a semi-automatic rifle used by the shooter.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
I've heard those reports as well, and
And obviously,
again,
what's the bolt action?
we do have a good idea of what the weapon was, but again, that's all part of the ongoing investigation. And I'm not trying to be cagey about that. When the SAC talked about the need to be very methodical and to be cautious with that scene, we are doing just that. We don't want anybody else getting hurt. And candidly, there are some concerns that we'll be able to talk more about later on about just what those concerns are. And
So did traveling pools.
Why would
Do
you
you have to
say that?
talk to the shooter's family yet?
that's all part of the investigation.
So you were asking if the surprise witness channel, they have witnesses talking about it at the 40 mark. Now there was somebody I watched on Traveling Pools a little bit last night that had he had a witness on there that for a bit. I haven't seen the surprise witness channel yet. Have to check that out.
There are a lot of really angry people. Are you monitoring? Have there been any threats in response to this? Are you worried? Have there been any specific threats?
That's certainly a concern, and we're monitoring that whole situation. I mentioned that we're bringing a lot of assets to bear, and so like the FBI.
How nice of you, Wendy. Wendy Bono, been a member for 3 months. Morning. This is an awful situation. Yes, it is. And I would be going about this the same way if this was Biden. I would be viewing this as the same way. It's not appropriate to do this to anybody. Just that it was Trump. It's a lot of people are saying, "Oh, this is just going to lock in his election." I don't buy that into that stuff. Just pay attention and and be very aware that next week he's will be at the RNC where he's supposed to suggest who his VP pick is going to be. And if there's people that are crazy enough to do this kind of pew-pewing, that means that there's always a high chance or high risk there's going to be more. We just don't want more. That's what we don't want.
Utilizing their analysts, we also have the Pennsylvania Criminal Intelligence Center. We will utilize the resources of our intelligence division and the Criminal Intelligence Center to be able to monitor for concerns about any threats, regardless of the side of the issue or the political spectrum. We want to make sure that we try and avoid any further violence.
Well, and I think that's also what they are trying to do is keep the violence down for what's going on with this situation, because there's a chance that you'll have some cuckoos that will come after his parents or start attacking him like they've been doing, like saying, oh, he's a Republican, oh, he's a Democrat. And like someone said in chat here earlier, is that pay close attention to everything else that's going on around this. It's for example, Biden pulled all of his ads. His handlers pulled all the ads that were currently running. I think a lot of that had to do with Biden said on the 8th about putting Trump into his having a bullseye on Trump. That right there, that kind of speech can incite people to do things, or craziness can incite people to do things. So I think him backing down and saying, "Oh, this wasn't the way that I needed to go." Said the same to Mighty last night. I'd be just disgusted if someone did this to Biden. Exactly. Yes, that I agree with. They do need to get him a full detail. That right there is most important, and it's insane that they haven't. No, Trump is in New Jersey.
No, sir.
Without identifying them by name, can you say anything about the other folks who were injured or killed? Were they adults, male, female, anything else?
They were adults, and they're male.
All three.
Yes.
How difficult of a day is this for your department, though, where all your departments you have to go and talk to these family members, including the civilians who were gunned down while they just went to a rally to try and, celebrate against the upcoming election? What are those conversations like, and how do you kind of get through that?
We have trained investigators, and we're partnered hand in hand with the FBI, again, because we've got some federal violations, some state violations. And so our investigators are going out methodically. We have a large team of investigators that are going out, dividing up these interviews and trying to conduct them as quickly as possible. And then there'll be follow-ups. With the FBI asking for people to call in tips, I have no doubt that we will receive a lot of additional information that will also require follow-up. But again, we're working very well together, and it's only a short matter of time until we get through all of those interviews.
I agree. I agree with you, Brandon. Quite a bit. That is very much so. Biden flew back to the White House last night. Bet his arms are tired. Hey, all the ads were yes. Yes. Hey Terry, good to see you. Glad you could make it.
How close a call was it for President Trump?
There were no police hit with bullets.
From your experience, how close a call was it for President Trump?
I'm not going to speculate or comment on that.
Have any of you talked to the president? Did any of you have any kind of reaction?
No.
Which law enforcement agencies were tasked with securing this particular rally outside of the United States Secret Service?
Well, Secret Service always has the lead on securing something like this, but then they work very closely. And I hate to use the word routine, but it is a fairly routine matter for all of our agencies to work jointly with the Secret Service. And it really depends on the venue, on what information is out there, what number of resources are devoted to it. And we work with them to provide whatever is requested by the Secret Service, but they're the lead in that security.
Was there anything about this venue that made it particularly difficult to secure?
You know, I would defer to the Secret Service to answer that. They would have done the initial assessment.
Was the rooftop part of what was being secured? Was the rooftop, given its proximity to the event, part of that process?
It's my understanding that was outside of the perimeter. We're not going to comment on anything about the
Did
shooter.
any agency deny Trump's team extra security? Any of the agencies that are out there?
Not that I'm aware of.
If Trump had been the nominee already, would he have had additional security for this event?
There again, Secret Service has the lead, and I'm not going to comment or speculate on what may or may not be provided at any given point, depending on their status as a candidate. What I will tell you is that in my experience, the Secret Service does an excellent job of maintaining security on protectees. They're very cautious. They don't hesitate to ask for resources, and candidly, we don't hesitate to supply those resources.
You're asking for the public's help. Can you elaborate and be more specific about what you would like to see from the public? Videos, photos, personal accounts?
I think the videos and photos would be very helpful. And I think that once the shooter is identified, anyone that has specific information on that shooter, that would be very helpful as well to help us assess motive. And again, as I mentioned earlier, we are absolutely not taking for granted that this was a lone wolf attack. And so we would be looking for any additional information that might point us toward anybody else that may have had a hand in this.
Sir, at this point, what is the main focus of the investigation? What's the most important thing for you right now, a few hours?
Well, there's not any one single focus. I mean, certainly the immediate focus was life safety, getting the former president out of there, and to care, getting care to the other victims, and trying to secure the scene as quickly as possible. It shifted then from a life safety priority to then an investigative priority. And so I guess if I had to point to where we are right now, the single greatest priority would be to identifying a motive and whether there was anyone else involved.
We're just beginning the political season. Are you guys concerned with all of these rallies that happen and how they're set up? Is this going to change maybe the venues?
Again, I would refer you to the.
I doubt it. I would doubt that this what was the Pew's name? I'm sure some audits you're digging into his background. The kid's name. Oh, is it? It is a Crook. Sorry, his name is Crooks. Matthew Crooks. And people have already looked into what his name is and who he is. This is a little bit of what they said. The father of a 20-year-old, Thomas Matthew Crooks, reportedly said he's trying to figure out what the hell is going on, as his son was identified as a former attempt. Matthew Crooks wouldn't provide details about his son and wanted to wait until talk to law enforcement before speaking out on the horrible viewing. Thomas Crooks, he was deleted after he opened fire on the president. So that was what we know for certain.
Secret Service in terms of what they work out with the campaigns. We will continue to supply resources, as I'm sure the FBI will, and the local partners as well.
When this was announced, it was, there was quite a few days of heads up that people were getting ready to come to this Trump rally. From a law enforcement perspective, when you announce a big event like this, all that time in advance, like a week out, does it give people more time to plan something like this?
Well, I suppose, but there's a balance. I would think that any of the campaigns on either side try to weigh. I mean, the point of them announcing it, I suspect, is because they want the crowd, and so it's not up to us in law enforcement to tell them when they should announce or how they should announce or how they should conduct it. We offer our best advice. Again, working hand in hand with the Secret Service, offer our best advice of how best to secure and protect that venue.
Sir, considering how many people were there, and you have packed in there, and you have somebody at an elevated position with potentially a high-powered rifle, how lucky is it?
Well, it wasn't low-powered rifle, that's for sure. I mean, just saying. So what was it? It was you say? Oh, you saw excerpts of Biden's speech about what happened last night. On face value, it was okay, but his facial expressions belied himself. He didn't believe what he said. I think he was reading off a teleprompter, and he was being told what to say. That wouldn't be uncommon for him to, basically not say something that's going to getting himself in trouble. It's so crazy that we have, they're not looking at, or not letting us, the American people, do what exactly is going on. I guess I don't want to give this guy any sort of glory for what he did, because that right there wouldn't be any good, and don't think that that's a good way to go. Wendy Bono, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. That is so kind of you. I appreciate you so much. And I'll make sure that I'll put your name up there, supporting the channel. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank. But yeah, this is pretty dark one today. I don't think Biden has had an original thought. Yeah, possibly. I think he does have quite a few original thoughts. But they're so scrambled. It's hard to make sense of them.
That we were only talking about a couple victims, as sad and tragic as that is.
Well, we're certainly grateful that we don't have even.
Is my voice really low, Wallstorm? It might be because I don't have the microphone up to it right now. Also, it could be that I'm. Let me see. I'll just go in here to possibly my audio has been turned down, so maybe that helped out. I don't know. I had the same issue the other night. I'll want to come by for a little bit. I'll drop you an invite, but this is pretty chill day today. I've got other stuff I'm going to be talking about besides this. There is some pretty cool things that I saw the other day that I thought were pretty interesting. And I'll bring those things up later. It's just this is the most important thing that I really want to talk about for just a little bit. Make sure that it's working as it should. So did that? Hopefully that fixed the audio. Today is not a day for loud voices. Well, you need to be here later, because that's whenever we break out all the. It is going to be crazy tonight. That's what, like I said, other things we're going to talk about. That'll happen later.
Been more victims. And again, in terms of how this could have occurred, that it will be part of this after action report and an investigation that occurs, so that we can hopefully ensure that something like this doesn't happen again.
Has an autopsy been conducted yet, or is it scheduled?
It has not been conducted yet. I do not.
Excellent.
So we have the 1-800-CALL FBI if you have audio tips, and then we set up a specific tip line for audio and video, and that's fbi.gov/Butler.
And they should say just like any video.
Anything that anyone has that is related to this incident that they think maybe.
Well, and here's the thing. Very suspicious. They report it was an AR-15 that was used when just a few hours earlier Biden was again calling for the ban on the ARs. Well, looking at it, it did not look like an AR, but of course they don't know. They don't know. People don't know the difference between an AR and a, Mini 14. They wouldn't know the damn difference. So I'm very suspicious of what they're saying. They get, you have people saying, "Oh, it looked like a 22. It sounded like a 22 or 223 or whatever." I don't know. Hello, Vicky. Good to see you. If you did send anything, please back it up someplace safe.
If you have assistance investigatively, we'll take anything and we'll analyze it, and we'll make the determination if it's of investigative value.
Can you tell us what
Go ahead.
So from what you can read on, it sounds like law enforcement only knew he was up there until shots were fired. Is that what you're hearing?
So that is the assessment this time.
So are you surprised that a sniper was able to fire off a handful of shots at the former president? I mean,
again, we're still working through the security apparatus that the Secret Service had in place, what potentially happened. That there's going to be a long investigation into exactly what took place and how the individuals able to get access to the location.
How about not a long investigation, but try to wrap up the investigation as quick as possible? I mean, are you going to keep it as a crime scene for the next 4 years? What are you doing? What are you doing, guys? They see polymer and automatically jump to AR-15. In reality, it could have been any type of rifle. Exactly. Oh, hey, Elk. How's it going, Elka? Good to see you. Good to see you.
What type of weapon he had, all that, it is really days, weeks, and months of investigation.
You have like 4 or 5 shots.
It is surprising, but again,
It is not surprising if you have a semi-automatic rifle that you're able to get off multiple shots. This is coming from, these questions are coming from a group of people that more than likely have never even been in the same room with a firearm outside of a police officer. They wouldn't know, because those are questions that they shouldn't be asked.
to get the truth, all the details of that will come out later in the investigation.
Going back to the perimeter of this building, I think it's really difficult for people to understand that this building is a very high vantage point, some 100 meters away where this is happening, isn't part of that. What goes into that?
Every area was being scanned. The guy was pretty damn slick. That's all. That's what it boils down to. Dude was being slick, and you know, this is unfortunate.
That conversation over what is in and out is why wouldn't that be?
Again, the Secret Service really needs to answer that question. They conduct the initial site survey. They do the initial security assessments and determine where the different security locations should be. And they're the ones who are in charge of securing the scene. We, along with other state and local assets, are there to support the Secret Service and their mission.
How many troopers and agents were at the rally before the shooting, and how is that number determined? And should perhaps there have been more?
So I don't have the specific numbers. I doubt you do as well.
No, I can speak just for PSP. We had physically on site there, probably 30 to 40 members of PSP, but we also have additional resources in the area. We utilize aviation, for example, and a variety of other resources, dogs to sweep beforehand that really aren't counted in that. And again, the number is driven by what the request is from the Secret Service. You know, just in their defense, I mean, what I would want to say is it is incredibly difficult to have a venue open to the public and to secure that against any possible threat, against a very determined attacker. That's a huge lift to try and do it. And, you know, again, the investigation will really give us an opportunity to take a look at where any failures occurred and what can be done better in the future.
Lieutenant Colonel Bivens, do you know when another briefing might be held?
We don't have one scheduled, but I would tell you we will let you know and give you plenty of.
An AR-15 is an Armalite. That's what the AR stands for. Just a version of Armalite. The AR, they had the AR 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's just AR-15 was just one of the better, more reliable firearms, long guns that was made. But here's the question. Why didn't they respond to witnesses telling the Secret Service about the suspect? Well, what I understand and what I've been able to gather is that it was the police that the people were reporting to, and the police must not have looked at it close enough or been concerned with it, or something maybe was misunderstood. They weren't paying attention, or maybe people were making up things that they were saying that they were talking to the Popo about it. But that's the risk. Question: who, what, when, where, why? Should be equally solved. You would hope. Sometimes you can't get into the why. So why was the request for additional Secret Service beforehand denied? Well, that right there is, we'll get into that also. We got plenty on that one. Well, not plenty, but we've got enough on that one, which leaves for a lot of speculation and slowly sitting down. So trying to keep moving. My body didn't get enough rest. But I knew that I had some of this that I wanted to cover from, because I was able to last night. I wanted to cover a little bit of that. And then I saw that Shannon died, and it, such a tragedy. A tragedy. Taken away so young, so young.
Notice, certainly, as soon as additional things develop that would be noteworthy or of interest to you, we'll get that scheduled and have another with you.
Locally, what can residents, businesses expect to happen with the investigation in the next couple of days? What's going to be going on there?
Well, again, the interviews will all be occurring, and so they may see law enforcement in their communities. People came from a wide area to come to this rally, I'm told. So, there's going to be law enforcement fanning out, and as additional calls, photos, videos come in, those additional interviews will result in law enforcement being out in the community conducting those interviews. But otherwise, they really shouldn't see any other significant impact in the
Could you
community.
confirm whether it's a male or female, the homicide, the bystander who died?
You already did.
Male?
Yes.
They already verified this. They said everybody that was pew-pewed were male. You had Trump that got hit. You had a gentleman behind him got hit, and 2 other gentlemen were hit as well. Only one of them was fatal. It's unfortunate. I don't think there would be. I honestly would hope that people would be able to contain themselves. I would hope that they would.
Now, I'm from a European outlet from Poland, and I'm already getting text messages from back home, and people are asking, how could this happen? What's going on in America? I know that it's a philosophical question.
Well,
how could you talk to the people outside the United States about what happened here?
Well, again, what I would say is a tragic incident that occurred. We're not in a position to start second guessing how or why or anything else at this point. Just know that it will be thoroughly investigated. If there is anyone to prosecute, that will be done, and we'll move forward. But I don't have a good answer for you.
So, I mean, this is typical of these guys coming in and saying these things. But let me bring on somebody for you guys. And the myth, the legend, and ladies and gentlemen,
well, so much for low voices this morning.
Was mine not? Is it not low anymore?
No, you're fine.
Oh,
I'm just making a joke.
Oh,
yeah. No, it was funny because yesterday was the day that I decided to go with my family. We went kayaking in the mountains.
Nice.
And so I had no cell service anyway, so I didn't even bring my phone. And by the time I got back, it was like 10 o'clock. And my phone finally gets service and it just blows up. I was like, okay, what did I miss? What in the hell's going on? And then I start reading through the text and it's like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's like when you were on last night, I was still driving home. I didn't even, have a chance to even pop in. And it's just, the whole thing's just crazy. And this is yet another one of those situations where I wait until all the information comes in. Cause I mean, it's going to be speculation station for the next few days.
Yeah. And yeah, that is one of my biggest issues with it. I mean, you can go the Alex Jones conspiracy route where
right.
Where he's saying, oh, and you think this is the end? Oh, they're globalists are trying to take over. I'm like, man, I'm not going down that road. I know enough about military tactics that something wasn't right here.
Right.
I have some suspicions, but until you get all the information, which we probably won't even know until like days before the election.
Right. And that's one of those things we may never know because the feds are not going to release a ton of information about it because they would be worried that somebody else would try something similar. Or even, you don't want somebody to understand what your tactics are so as to find a hole in them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's crazy, and of course, I'm thankful that it wasn't another inch or so to the right.
Yes.
But I grieve for the people that were injured and the one that died.
Yes.
That's
my biggest.
And that's the risk that's run whenever you're with a polarizing political candidate. That type of stuff can happen. Now, I've never seen it at a political rally, but at the same time, I don't know the details of what happened with RFK.
Right.
I don't know if that was a political rally or what the situation was with that. So,
Hey guys, sorry I'm late. In your opinion, you don't think it was an AR-15? That's like the one pew pew that feds always fall back on.
right.
Those pops didn't sound like an AR. I know it could be argued, the noise suppression. From the image that I saw, it looked more like it was like a mini 14.
And it probably is because whenever things like this happen, they're always going to default to, oh, well, it was an AR style weapon.
Yeah, and it was an
And-
assault style weapon. I was like,
Right. When when they really have no idea whether, or the feds know exactly what it was, but they're not going to release that information to the public.
yeah, continued on the microphone, but I generally don't think it was an AR. I've shot one before. Yeah, I don't. Well, and you also have to understand that any recording that you're hearing is a recording from a cell phone, so it's not going to be the best recording that you can possibly get, or you're going to get it off of a microphone that's running through a PA system that isn't going to give you the best sounding.
Right.
For something like that, because there'll be compression on it, so you're not gonna be able to judge. If you're there, you could probably be pretty certain you could figure out what that thing was.
So do we know that the weapon was suppressed?
No.
We don't know that. Okay. Because I've heard a lot of people talk about whether or not it was a 22, and I'm like, well, first of all, a 22 is probably not going to reach out to 500-600 yards anyway.
I mean, it can, but
It can, but it likely not, especially with that
it's-
precise of a shot.
well, from what I understand, it was only 150 yards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was only 150 yards from where the pew-pewing took place.
See, don't have all the information. That's what happens.
Right. Well, I think someone actually mapped it out, and they're like it's within that 150 yard range. I mean, and I've heard. Well, there was something on the roof that he could have climbed up through, and then there was other people saying there was a ladder, and like it does that. Sure, that matters in the end details, but what really matters is how are those other two people that were hit, how are they doing?
Right.
We already know that one was deceased, and he was not in. The medic that was taking care of him was not in a happy place whenever he was interviewed by the BBC.
Right.
And it's just unfortunate that these kinds of things, they're going to happen. It wouldn't matter if you banned every single firearm in the United States. People would still do this.
Evil always tries to find a way. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, You've seen it in countries where they have basically all but banned firearms, and evil still tries to find a way through explosives, knives, whatever. So
Yes.
that to me, that doesn't matter. That was just a tool that was used at the time.
Exactly. At 150 yards with a 22 would be a hell of a shot. No, I mean, I can.
Yeah.
My pellet gun, which is 22 caliber, can hit a bullseye at 150 yards.
Yeah.
It only has a slight bit of drop at that point. So, as Lance Armstrong said in his famous book, not about the pew pew.
We'll just take one last question.
I know you said that you guys are not aware of any additional requests from the Trump team for security. What about the FBI?
That's not true. That right there is not true. That is absolutely not true. He has been requesting for additional security. He has been the whole time.
Yeah.
And they've been denying him. We'll go into that here in a little bit too.
Additional security from the Trump team, and was that denied in any way, shape, or form?
No, there was no additional request for security that was ever denied by the FBI.
Well, it was, of course, not by the FBI, but that's not who provides security to the president.
Right. I think what a lot of people, I would hope most people know by now, but now, granted, Trump is a former president, so he has a Secret Service detail anyway.
Yes.
But if he was not a former president, if he was just any other candidate running, let's say you have an incumbent president on one side, and then on the other side, they finally all but have their nominee. All right. It's pretty much secured this is going to be the nominee. Then they have a meeting with the Secret Service, and a Secret Service detail is assigned to that nominee.
Mm-hmm.
So he would have had, even not being a former president, he would have a Secret Service detail assigned to him just because he is the top nominee. He's going to be the person to run against the president.
Right. But he hasn't officially got a nomination.
Right. Well, but in these situations where he doesn't, they wait for the convention for him to be the official nominee. But in this situation where he had, all but won the votes, then they would go ahead and have that meeting with him anyway.
I would think that they would.
Yeah, they do.
They're slow rolling a lot of stuff because they've been requesting it and it's been done.
So we showed up after the fact. We were monitoring the event, but it was once the incident occurred that we come and we take the primary jurisdiction for the investigation. Thank you. We'll, as we have additional information, we'll provide it. Thank you.
Well, and this always worries me because this is the same group of people that went into his house and took government documents out.
Yeah.
RFK has made it very public about the need for even candidates to have Secret Service protection. Yes. It's good to see you, Diva. So good to see you. This was something that I saw a little bit ago that was pretty interesting. Share it here.
To expand hiring, they're aiming to have 30% women recruits by 2030, and even allowed YouTube influencer Michelle Carre to train with agents.
But I'm very conscious as I sit in this chair now of making sure that we need to attract diverse candidates and ensure that we are developing and giving opportunities to everybody in our workforce, and particularly women.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's in charge of the Secret Service.
Well, I have no problem with that if they're qualified. I want as someone whose job it is to protect the president, as someone whose job it is to protect nominees for the election of president, I want the best person possible. I don't care who they are. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. But once again, as we've seen in other industries, to hire somebody just based off of gender, race, orientation, religious beliefs, whatever, that's dumb.
Yes. And as far as the echo goes, I don't know. It may be echoing. Just,
I think it's just in the video clips. You're fine.
Oh, is it in the video clips?
Yeah.
I think I may know what that is. Give me a second, I'll pull that up. See if I can't correct that issue. Yep, there. Maybe it's off. That's off. You should have an echo. Nope, maybe. And the system isn't doing what it's supposed to do.
Squid.
What was that? Paul Storm. Hiring people based on merit is
I know, because the system's against everybody. I get it.
That workforce will be pivotal for the 2024 campaign season, which for the first time includes a former president who already has lifetime protection.
Yep.
Agents were there when Donald Trump was arraigned in New York.
We were able to work out the details ahead of time of how that particular day was going to go, but we will always ensure the safety of all of our protectees that we have.
The service has a zero-fail mission, a mission officers are training to uphold, pretending this field is the most famous address in America.
Yeah, that is the lady running it. Not the biggest vote of confidence.
See, I didn't know who was running it, and you know what? I shouldn't. There shouldn't be a situation where I have to know who's the head of the Secret Service.
Well, before she was director for the Secret Service, she was head of security for Pepsi Cola.
That's it.
Yeah.
She was the head of security for Pepsi.
Yeah.
Well, protecting political persons is a lot different than protecting a soda can.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is quite a bit different. I mean, there is going to be some similarities. You're still protecting somebody, but it's yeah, I agree. There's going to be some.
Well, it basically somebody's head's going to roll over this.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just whether it's people in the detail, whether it's she would have to step down overall, whatever it is, somebody's going to lose their job over this.
Yeah.
And they should.
Yeah, she espouses DEI. That's all that needs to be said. But here we go. These are the two females here. Keep an eye on those two. And you see all of the men tower over them by shoulders.
Right.
Having a hard time with her weapon.
There's three.
Having a hard time with her weapon. She can't even get her weapon in its holster.
Yeah. See, you've got three of them actually.
Yeah. See it now. They're not sure what to do. Seem confused. Yeah, that's a little scary.
Yeah.
That they're that disorganized, can't put their firearm away. Oh.
Well, it's the first time the Secret Service has had to deal with a situation like that since what, Reagan?
Yeah. Yeah, they were slow on the uptake too.
Yeah.
I mean, they're trained every day though. This would be like a really regular training. They're going to be at the range on a regular basis. They're going to be going through, the ins and outs of where the president's going to be, or in his case, a former president's going to be. They're going to be on top of it. They're going to be like flies on stink. They're just going to be everywhere all the time.
One of the jobs of the secret security is to be able to cover lines of sight. And what that means is where a person could possibly set up to do exactly what happened yesterday. And I'm just curious as to why that wasn't covered.
Yeah.
From that vantage point, from where he set up, why was that particular position not covered?
Correct. That's going to be one of the big questions. I mean, I will say that for an old man, Trump sure got down pretty damn quick once
Yeah,
he
he did.
realized that he'd been hit.
Yeah, because
I mean,
once he reached up and touched his ear, he immediately went down like, "Oh crap!"
yeah, he was like, I don't want to have the next one come near my head. And
Yeah,
even, I mean, and we're talking about what is he 80, 79 or 83?
He's 79, maybe.
79 years
I
old.
be honest, I don't know.
70. It's still at 79. That man dropped down to his knees quick. Like, oh, yeah. I mean, that's impressive. That's impressive how fast that he was just like boom down.
Oh, Bush says he's 78.
Okay. I mean, we had what a weird day yesterday was. We had Shannon Doherty passed, Richard Simmons.
Yeah, I didn't hear about Doherty till this morning.
Yeah.
I heard about Simmons because I was listening to you guys last night on the way home. But I didn't know about Doherty either.
Yeah,
So.
I was like, I also didn't know that she was a Republican.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, that's on her like little Wikipedia page.
Huh.
It's like, holy crap. And she had something to say about it too. I'll pull it up here in a second as soon as my computer stops acting a fool. What it's doing right now. It's being a pain.
It's trying to shake the cobwebs out for, it knows you're about to put it through its paces this week.
Yeah. Yeah. This next week is gonna be insane. We've got the Republican National Convention. We've got just like every single thing. Baker, I'm so sorry that, last night he had such a great stream going and it went from like having a bunch of people in there to like almost no one.
Yeah.
Like that's so crazy. Yeah, Dr. Ruth too. I heard about that.
That's right. I wasn't sure if that was because I heard y'all joking about it and I didn't know whether or not she had actually passed away too. So there's your 3.
Yeah. They come in 3s, don't they?
Yes, they come in 3s. Usually not that fast though.
No, not that fast. Not all
it's
in one
usually
day.
Not all in one day. It's like, the span of like a few weeks. So you'll have one, then another, but not 3 in one day.
Yeah. So I also didn't know that Doherty was in Playboy.
Yeah, I knew that.
Well, I probably heard about it, but I just, Beverly Hills 90210, which doesn't exist, except on paper.
Except on paper.
Except on paper, that it was just like, oh, yeah. That it wasn't on my radar.
Right.
She's just not somebody I really was too interested in until, she did like Heathers and things like that. But her political views, Doherty was a registered Republican. According to Complex Magazine in 2012, she said, I realize that the majority of people in the entertainment business happen to be Democrats. I have no problem with that. And they should have no problem with the fact that I'm a Republican. In 1990, she was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. And in 2015 with breast cancer.
Wow.
Which had spread to her lymph nodes. So yeah, she had undergone a lot of treatment to sort of handle that, and it was successfully breaking through the blood-brain barrier.
Yeah, I think I remember her having breast cancer.
So so sad. So sad.
Yeah.
I mean, I just can't glory in the loss of life. This is a squirrel.
No.
And even then, I still don't glory in it. It's just like, oh, God.
Here's the thing that keeps going on in my mind, right, wrong, or indifferent. All these people over the past few years that have called for something to happen to Trump, are they going to be called out now?
Like Biden? Like,
Biden, many people in the entertainment industry from the left, are they going to be called out now? Political commentators?
That does have me a little bit concerned.
Yeah.
You know, are they going to?
These things.
Oh, here it is. See if
the rhetoric around him over the last few weeks that if he wins an election, our country will end, our democracy will end, it's the last election we'll ever have. These things have consequences, okay? I don't know what the motivations of the shooter are. I don't know any of the details, but I know the rhetoric around Trump has grown extreme. You mentioned some other violence. You didn't mention the Supreme Court.
Yep.
Attempted murder of a Supreme Court justice, or the congressional baseball game where Steve Scalise was nearly murdered.
Yep.
One a conservative, the other a Republican. But we have people in this country who are dedicated to telling half the country that if Donald Trump wins an election, the country will end, the Constitution will go away, and so on and so forth. What I want to hear from all elected officials is this kind of hyperbolic extremism has consequences and it must end. Yes, we're all shocked, and yes, political violence has no place.
You can hear that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Where does it come from? It's
But
got to stop.
we're also hearing from Trump very, very strong statements of condemnation of Biden, the worst president, the most dangerous president, and all of that. He's speaking very, very strongly against President Biden.
Who's in the hospital?
Well,
not the same thing.
Look, I agree with you.
You say calm things down.
Not the same thing.
No, not the same thing.
It's not even
because-
close.
No. That's the thing. He has not been calling for violence at all.
Well, I mean, does anybody remember the image that Kathy Griffin put up of having a severed Donald Trump head that she was holding?
They don't want to talk about that.
No, they don't want to talk about that, and they don't want to bring it up. And I guess the left's tactic now is, well, the right does it. Why shouldn't we do it? This guy hit it home. It's like, you don't need to go so far extreme. I mean, for crying out loud, nobody remembers that back when Reagan was in office, Tip O'Neill was the Speaker of the House. He was hardcore Democrat. They would fight and fight and fight. And then at the end of the day, they would go to the bar and have a drink together. That's kind of the way it used to be. It's like, I don't agree with your ideals. You don't agree with my ideals. But you know what? In the end, we're both still human.
Right.
We're both just people. And hey, you're pretty cool. There's lots of things that you and I personally can get along with.
Right.
And we've eliminated that. Somebody said it best, and it may have been on your show last night. There is no middle anymore.
No. There hasn't been middle for some time.
You're either left or you're right. Well, I don't agree with that because I have friends on the left.
Yeah, my wife's on the left.
Yeah.
And we make jokes about it all the time. She goes, "Oh, you're one of those anti-vax, never Trumper, or Trump,
yeah.
Trump." And I was just like, "Yeah, and you're a communist. So what's the big difference?"
You're a communist. Well, for crying out loud, one of the best political strategists of all time, James Carville, hard time left.
Yeah.
He's married to a Republican strategist.
Mm-hmm. It's because it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Left or right doesn't matter. It's the character of the person.
That's why I'm grateful for times like I had yesterday, where for a good 10 hours, I was completely unplugged from the world because I had no choice. And I had a great time.
Your wife's a dirty liberal. Yeah, exactly.
Brandon, that explains so much about you now.
It does. It really does. Uh, Risa, thank you so much. Yeah, they blame Trump's words for January 6th, but yet
Yes.
they won't take responsibility for their words in this.
Right. And they
where
won't.
where a former president was shot at, the next up and coming candidate, and the fact that there was three people in the crowd, two of them were injured and one of them fatally.
Well, I mean, for crying out loud, I know that the media is going to want to sweep this under the rug, like, okay, he survived. All right, let's move on. I don't think they understand the historical significance of this.
This is a lot. Let's see if the echo's gone.
Okay.
I think I might have fixed it.
I agree, both sides.
And now I have
Yeah.
no sound. You can
Well,
hear
but I could hear it fine, and there was no echo.
crazy. And I have no audio. Give me a second. Let me see if I can fix something here really quick. Yeah, I was concerned that I was going to be having that problem, and put that up there and see if the echo goes away or stays.
Yeah, they heard it in the chat too.
This moment is if there was
Yeah, I
if
still
we
can't hear it.
what other wake up call could there be for everybody in this country right now? I am mortified. I mean, this will live on forever. These pictures we're seeing today will be in the history books of our children and our.
Yeah,
that sucks for me because you guys can hear it, but I can't hear anything.
Yeah, the chat could hear it. They said there's no more echo. I can hear it fine.
Oh, work.
Because he was basically saying that, that these pictures are going to be in the historical archives forever.
Yes. And that picture it's going to show a lot.
Yeah.
Do you have an echo?
No.
Okay, give me a second. Just see if I can do that. Okay, let me try this again.
Our grandchildren.
Nope, still nothing for me.
Hmm.
Browser, maybe.
I mean, we're living through a historical moment, and we have to recognize it for what it is, and we have to change.
You have to cool the rhetoric on both sides.
We have to change.
Because it's really dangerous and it foments what we've just seen over the past couple hours or so. And it's a really, really scary situation. You want to add a point there?
You just said it, Wolf. Scott, your point is so well taken that the escalation of rhetoric is something that if you just look back in history, it doesn't take a lot to dig and find that people take cues from not just leaders, but from people around them. And when violence happens, sometimes things are uncorked, and it is important for leaders across the board, as we are seeing today, to tamp things down.
So
the rhetoric around him over.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's acting so funky. I can't figure out
Yeah.
what's going on with this thing.
Yeah, because echo came back, but I
Yeah.
think we're all used to it now.
The last few weeks.
Yeah, so it's not anything for me, but this is not good because I want to have to figure this out before tonight. Because
That if he wins an election,
if not, I'm going to end up with you. Everybody, whenever they talk, it's going to echo.
Right.
So I've got to fix that.
But it's only the video clips that are echoing.
Weird. Maybe if I turn this off.
Our country will end. Our
Is it still
democracy will
echoing?
end. It's the last election we'll ever have.
Did you hear anything?
Yeah, I could hear it fine. Is it because it's playing through your monitor?
No, it's playing through my headphones. Give me a second. I want
Oh,
to
it's playing
see
through
if
your
it's
headphones.
Still has an echo. Hold on.
These things have consequences.
Okay, no echo, right?
Yeah, no echo.
Good, I fixed it.
Oh, okay. What was it?
I don't know. I'll
You don't know.
I don't know. I just started pushing buttons until it went away.
Well, that's what expert does.
Yeah, I mean, what can we say? That's how he is.
Yeah, exactly.
So, of course, there's a lot of other stuff out there that I wanted to talk about today. It is, but we will, let me see. What was it? Diva asked a question there. What was it she said earlier on? I should have started because it was a pretty well thought out question. Can't stand Kathy Griffin. No, I can't either.
No.
She said, because she was like, oh, that's funny. That's infiltration. And she said, discuss. And I was just like, discuss? What are we discussing?
Who said it?
Your lovely wife. She said something earlier about, something about the speculation. Push more buttons. More buttons. Buttons.
Yes, exactly, Brandon.
Oh. It was, I think maybe this is that people were going off about they're thinking, oh, I remember what it was. She said the people saying that Trump staged it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I don't buy that for a second.
I'm sorry, but if you think that was staged,
this, it's things like this that you hear. Trump rally story. Hello. Reminder, stick to the facts. Don't speculate, editorialize, sensationalize, or jump to conclusions when reporting on the Trump rally incident today. Don't call it an assassination attempt unless authorities say it is.
yeah,
Don't
the
say
FBI did.
Yeah. Don't say a shooting targeting Trump or the rally unless authorities confirm that connection. Clarify if it's actually gunshots. That's unclear at the moment. If authorities don't know, then it's okay to say that. Reminder to be mindful of body language when presenting the story. No need for serious face or adding comments and adjectives for color. No need to say scary moments today at Trump's rally. Just get to the story. At this moment, no need for guests to comment. Again, all this is just a reminder. We know
Well,
we all know.
here's the thing that kind of blew my mind is you clearly saw that he was shot at. You clearly saw that he received a flesh wound from it, and you clearly knew that someone behind him had been unalived. How do you not call that an assassination attempt? Why did it take so long for the FBI to come out and say, yes, this was an assassination attempt? That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
I got something dumber.
And
Oh,
so
God.
the recommendation of the many that you recommended family separation,
I recommend a zero tolerance.
which includes family separation.
The same as is with every U.S. citizen parent gets arrested when they're with a child.
Oops.
Zero tolerance was interpreted as the policy that separated children from their
If I get arrested for DUI and I have a young child in the car, I'm going to be separated. When I was a police officer in New York and I arrested a father for domestic violence, I separated that father
Mr.
from his
Holman, with
family.
all due respect, legal asylees are not charged with any crime.
That's not a word.
When you're into the country illegally, it's violation 8 United States Code 1325.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum, you go through the port of entry, do it the legal way. The Attorney General of the United States has made that clear.
Okay. And so the record.
She is so dumb. She needs to go back to bartending.
I mean, she'd probably make less money going back to bartending.
Well, true. But, she's one of those that has been fairly attractive all of her life, and guys agree with her just because she's pretty, no matter what stupid things come out of her mouth. And now she's in Congress.
This lady's pretty too. This is awesome.
So I just got this new top and I wore it today for the first time. And I put this jumper on top because I got really chilly. And for the whole day, people have been looking at me and doing double takes. And every time it's happened, I've just been like, yeah, I guess I'm having a great day today. Tell me why I got home and looked in the mirror.
She looks like a linebacker.
What? This is what I've looked like all day.
That's why they've looked at you.
That was so awesome when I saw that. I was just like, that made me smile.
Poor girl. She was so her self-esteem was so high. Her ego had been stroked, and then she realized what happened.
But this guy here.
Nah.
Hate showing him, but this guy here, little TikTok guy.
Yeah.
He was calling for the deletion of the president.
Oops.
President Biden just gave an hour-long press conference with no notes, no teleprompter.
Yeah, he did. He had 2 teleprompters.
How do you know that? Yeah.
He had 2 teleprompters.
No knowledge of the questions beforehand, and he executed
Yeah, he was given questions beforehand.
it perfectly. He
Didn't.
got tough questions and gave great answers. He talked in depth about foreign policy and the issues facing the United States. So can we get over this Biden's too old? Can we get over this he's not fit to serve? That is a man who just talked in depth about China, Russia, Ukraine, domestic policy, foreign policy, issues facing the entire world. Are you kidding me? Like, I would love to see Donald Trump try to keep up. I would love to see Donald Trump try to talk about the things that President Biden just articulated at that press conference. So it's time for us, the Democrats, to unite and support President Biden. This is a man who is competent. He's uniquely qualified to be president, and I am excited to vote for him. President.
Yeah. He's being paid. He's being paid.
Well, exactly. He has an audience, and he's playing to his audience, and he obviously has an affinity to speak well on a camera that's pre-recorded.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yes.
Hey,
It is.
you know, grift on, brother. Grift on.
Yeah, I mean, he's making good money. So I mean,
Yeah.
is if you're going to be making good money off of it, it's good.
You know, that's the reason, Jamie cracks that whip on Baker. He's got to make that money.
I don't know if this is true or not, but you remember the flag? It's in the it's in the thumbnail. The flag over Trump's head.
Yeah.
Well, somebody posted this. It got tangled and looked like an angel.
I hate it when people do that. It's like, come on.
Yeah, I know.
Come on.
That's exactly what I said.
If we're going to call out the absurdity of the left, we have to do it on the right as well.
Oh, and then we've got someone that didn't move whenever just like but so I think it's a possibility, and I could be wrong on this. Somebody's saying that there's an extra bullet hole in Trump's jacket, but I don't know if that's true or not. That could be photoshopped.
So there's what? Oh,
an extra bullet hole. I don't know. That could be photoshopped.
Probably.
There is a possibility that he got hit. I'm sure that he's wearing body armor.
Oh, I'm sure he is.
Yeah. I mean, so there is that possibility.
Hey, those MAGA hats may end up being bulletproof too.
They might be after this.
Yeah, exactly.
Gosh. I mean, because this is all the stuff that oh Jesus. And then of course you got people that are talking about that it's the worst day of their life because Trump was not deleted.
Well, yeah, I'm sure because here's what's the result from this. You just elected him the next president.
Yep.
That's what that was the first thought that popped into my mind was, well, he's going to get elected now.
President Trump and his supporters have contributed to this violent rhetoric.
Against himself?
Yeah. Oh, the violent rhetoric. They contributed to it. And they're going to say January 6th.
As well.
Absolutely, George. We were just looking back this morning at some of the things that former President Trump has said. He warned last March of potential death and destruction if he were charged by the Manhattan District Attorney.
No. That's not what he said. This is things that other people have been saying. I
always get a kick whenever I see George Snuffleupagus. Because I remember him from the Clintons.
Hey, is it doing this? Yeah. George Snuffleupagus, whatever his name is, he's such a...
Yeah.
And I saw what Alex Jones had to say.
Oh yeah, I've seen some of the stuff he said too.
Will it get me in trouble on YouTube if I show it?
Maybe not today, but if you did it tomorrow, yeah, they'd probably eat your channel.
I really want to show it.
They got to have time to be able to go through the process and go, okay, we need to stop this. We need to stop this. We need to stop this.
Yeah. Because I so much wanted to show it. Able to, because I just don't want to get my channel deleted over this. Because there was a lot of things that could be, a lot of things can be said, and I haven't listened to his whole thing, so I have no idea what all he said.
Roy, I don't doubt that for a minute. He said every independent poll today is Trump winning an electoral landslide, so I expect the next poll to show an even greater margin. Yeah.
I don't expect that their polls are always entirely correct.
Well, no, I've never been called about a poll or contacted or emailed or anything.
So, I get them all the time.
Well,
I honestly,
hey, it's probably because you live in Atlanta. Democratic stronghold.
I mean, they contact me all the time.
Yeah, I've never once been contacted.
This is hilarious. Thank you, Jessica. It says they identify the person. It says Trump rally shooter identified by the FBI as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. And the caption says, if I look like that, I would you'd be at the world too. Oh my God.
Be mad at the world too.
Yeah. You are so awesome. The polls had Hillary up in 2016 election. Yeah. And you know how they note Hillary's thing? They go, well, she was up in the polls and she did win the popular vote.
Well, but they also said that the people that were voting for Trump wouldn't admit to it in the polls.
Yeah.
Which is why the polls were off.
They are always going to be off. Because nobody wants to really take responsibility for their own votes.
Oh yeah.
You know, they won't say, "Oh well, no, with me, I would never do such a thing."
Toy said, "Register Democrat and they'll call you. Promise." That's why they call you Shizzy, because of your wife.
Yeah. You know what someone posted in here? I'm not showing that. It said someone posted, for someone who nearly lost his VP today, I had to expect him to seem more upset about Biden. Oh God. That made me laugh so hard.
Oh yeah.
Just looking for one that I saw earlier that was so good. I mean, it made me laugh. And it was the posting that everyone put together of the yeah. And Jennifer Aniston still is pretty.
No, what's funny is I've heard about some of the polls, and I've even seen some of the polls that have gone out. And if you are not voting the way that they want you to, then they ask a bunch of follow-up questions.
Yeah.
To try to influence you to get you to change your vote. And if you're not paying attention, I mean, because they can sometimes be so long and boring, then you end up telling them, well, yeah, I'll vote for this other candidate.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody's pretty much saying the same thing, that, you know, these people voted for this crap to happen to think.
Would a second Donald Trump term look like?
Well, he cannot be the next president. Because if he is,
you can't imagine the things that he's going to do. Mexico, Canada. We can't go to Canada because eventually Canada will become annexed to America.
And shoot visitors to the White House. Yeah. That means he can shoot the first lady.
We're going to see violence, the likes of which we didn't even see on January 6th.
Make it illegal to run against him, to throw his opponents in jail, to shut down the media.
He will make himself into the Fuhrer, and he will make everybody raise their hand and salute him.
Using martial law against the American people.
Terminate the Constitution.
See, this is not how you want to approach these things.
Isn't it, you know, take an objective look. Many of the things that they accuse Trump of that he would do, isn't that the exact things that they're happening right now in the Biden administration?
What they've been doing.
Yeah. You know,
polls let them know how many extra ballots they will need.
That's probably true.
Well, yeah,
well, but it's just like, you know,
if that's the case, then you're going to see the largest voter turnout this election cycle.
I mean, for crying out loud, go back to 2016 when Trump was first elected, and he was saying that you know, the big chant was lock her up, right? Yeah. After they had pretty much proved that Hillary had destroyed documents and, you know, committed felonies.
Yeah.
What did he do? He said once he got in office, he was like, nah, I'm not worried about her.
Well, and he goes, how that's not how America should be run, where you lock up your opponent.
Right.
I mean, you know, if they were going to prosecute her, they should have prosecuted her.
Right.
He shouldn't have to call for her to be prosecuted. It showed how against doing anything against her was.
Right. But my point is that, you know, they're wanting to accuse Trump of, he will do this, he will do that. He's never shown any affinity for wanting to do any of that. He just wants to run the country.
Such lies, gaslighting. Yeah, and the interview with the ER doc, he said it was almost instantaneous.
Well, this may be a bad thing to say, but I'm glad it was instantaneous and that the person didn't have to suffer.
Yeah.
I'm not
Sufferings.
I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form that I think it's a good thing that it happened, because it's disgusting, it's vile. But I'm glad they didn't have to suffer.
Yes.
To rewrite the Constitution, create mass internment camps, throw everyone into Gitmo.
Might be sent to jail, or their rights might be suppressed, especially minority groups in society.
You might have any number of things happen to you and your family.
Every one of us, our freedom, our liberty, none of us is safe.
It's going to have people around him executing against an enemy's list.
Assassin.
You know what I'd like for somebody to do for all these commentators, kind of like they did in the Depp trial. Somebody asked them, "Were you paid for your appearance?"
Yeah. Yeah. They're always paid for their appearance.
Oh, I know, but I mean, that's when these people are given their staunch professional opinions.
Her stern look is hilarious. Just looks like I'm looking at you. You.
8 generals ordering troops to attack American citizens.
Trump's very well armed and extremist base will try to kill people.
He's going to basically burn the house down.
He will unravel the institutions of our democracy.
And I hope so. I hope he unravels every bit of.
I think that's what we're hoping for.
Yes. Go back to being a constitutional republic as we were supposed to be.
Yeah. And shout out to the Supreme Court for basically kneecapping the executive, all the executive departments. They can no longer make law.
Yes. Yes. That was beautifully done.
Yeah. And I don't care who's in office. I don't want an executive department making law and coming out with their own rules. And it's like, no, you have to follow this. No, it wasn't passed by Congress, and that's not your job.
Yes. That is where we wanted to get to.
Similarities between Mussolini and Hitler.
Adolf Hitler and Benito Mussolini.
Makes Donald Trump even more dangerous.
Wants to take away your vote. Senate and the House are immediately going to be paralyzed. People will begin in their minds to censor themselves. They might say, well, maybe I shouldn't say this. It's the end of democracy.
I think that could be the end of our democracy.
But democracy is dead if Trump is reelected.
Cozy up to Putin that democracy will be at risk.
The absolute destruction of the Justice Department as we know it.
He lost all that weight and his head's still big.
I know. The absolute destruction of the democracy as we know it.
The absolute destruction of the democracy. That's probably a little more Jesse Jackson.
Yes.
Could be entirely transformed.
I am really concerned about that.
Every person who was associated with the attempted coup elevated in the administration.
If he's reelected, he will curb transgender rights.
And the rule of law.
Arrest political opponents to persecute, not prosecute, but persecute his enemies.
Take a wrecking ball to the rule of law. He's going to make the law. Everyone else will have to follow.
A vote for Donald Trump may mean the last election that you ever get to vote in.
To go after the independent and free parts of American civic life.
He would tear down our institutions.
Purge the government of employees.
Department by department effort to weaponize the powers of the government.
To use the military to quash protests.
Reading.
He should have done that.
I love that graphic. The
Yes.
one that said Trump 25 revenge. What the hell is that?
It's everyone talking about the that 2025 Project 2025.
Oh dear Lord, that was something the Heritage Foundation came up with. And and look, if it takes you 900 pages to get a point across, you've messed up.
Yeah, I was actually going to read through that thing live.
Dear Lord.
I was like, because it would be so damn hilarious just to go.
I'll wait for the cliff notes. I'm not sitting there listening to 900 pages.
Oh, I'll probably just do it in cliff notes. just all you have to do is read what they're discussing. you know, and if it interests you, then be like, okay, how do they plan on doing this?
See, I like the Heritage Foundation because of their association with Rush.
Yes.
But after that, I'm like, y'all suck now.
You do.
The government of all democratic safeguards,
junking American democracy as we have always known it.
That he would try to stay in office beyond a second term. That he would.
Oh, I can't stand her anyway.
What makes people think that he would try to do that?
I also love watching Liz Cheney make commentary on political power, considering who her father is.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
This 2025 thing has been the live wire of the libs have now made talking points so irrationals have something confirmed continued bias.
Well, yeah, and that's the whole point. Is you want to put talking points out there to keep. It's like everybody just wants to keep their base energized. Why?
Correct. Yeah.
It used to be. It used to be. I'm going to put out ideas for the better of the country for both sides.
Mm-hmm. Used to be. And that's why you would find in legislative matters that they would only take up a single issue.
Right.
They would say, okay, so we're gonna spend how much money on the border? Okay, that how about we see if we can get a little bit less, and then they would come up with a compromise. Maybe they meet in the middle somewhere.
Right.
Or they just say, yeah, this is not a good idea, and they kick it down the road for the next session.
Yeah. That's what I always find funny is whenever they propose legislation that won't take effect till they're out of office.
Right. Or they propose legislation that covers like a wide range of things that have nothing to do with one another.
Oh yeah. Well, it was like the border bill that Biden was touting. Is like, look, we tried to do this.
With the border.
Yeah, we tried to do this, but the Republicans knocked it down. Well, that's because included with that border bill was more money to Ukraine, to Israel, to all this, that, and the other, and a lot of the Republicans wouldn't get behind it. Now they ended up passing bills to send money to Ukraine and Israel anyway. But
of course.
It was like, it's like whenever you see these little hit pieces on your local politicians where they're like, oh, well, so-and-so did that. The biggest one, remember the school lunch bill?
Oh yeah.
Remember that?
Yes.
It's where, Republicans won't pass a bill for school lunches. Of course, they didn't point out all the other stuff that was in it.
Yeah.
It's not about the big issue bill. It's about all the other crap that goes with it.
It was, if I'm not mistaken, what they put in there was basically every teacher becomes tenured at a certain point in time, that they were going to give all the teachers a raise, and they were
which is fine.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with that.
But do it separately.
Right.
Do it separately.
Right.
So that way you're voting on the single issue that's in front of you.
Exactly.
And then you don't have to have 500 pages of a proposal.
Right. Well, I think a lot of people that don't really follow politics that close, which are the people that you're really trying to reach whenever it becomes election season. Because, I mean, Republicans and conservatives are going to vote Republican. Democrats, leftists, progressives, they're going to vote Democrat. It's all those people in the middle that you're trying to attract.
And that's always where they're after.
Right.
People in the middle.
But if you're going so hard to either extreme, the people in the middle aren't going to want to vote for you.
Exactly. But they're going to stay at home. They're going to go,
right.
What's the, because they get this feeling like my vote doesn't count anyway, because neither one of these groups care about me.
Right.
All they care about is my vote. The only time that they care about me is whenever it's expedient for their vote.
Yeah, every 2 years. That's the only time they care about you.
Mm-hmm. They know the pork projects would never pass in a standalone bill, of course.
Yep, exactly.
And that's why they need it. That's why they need to present them.
Well, plus they're trying to garner votes in Congress. So it's like, if you have somebody that's not really in line with it, you tell them, okay, what we'll do is we're going to slide this pork bill to help out your constituents
Mm-hmm.
if you'll vote for my bill.
Yeah.
And that's how politics works.
It is. And that's what sucks about it. Is like, oh, this is how it works. Once people see how it works.
Unfortunately, I know too much how it works.
Yes.
This is why it drives me crazy.
I mean, all the stuff I'm seeing.
Go to college for a real education, kids. Don't be like Volstorm.
Don't. No, I'm showing that. Somebody made some sort of commercial that I'm not going to show. Yo, Concha, President Biden, July 8th, 2024. Oh, yeah, that's what they. This is what was posted on July 8th, 2024 by President Biden.
Yeah, I remember right after he said it, and then of course, immediately came back to mind after I found out what was going on yesterday. It's like, ooh. And he will never be held accountable for that. No one will ever mention that.
Correct. Oh, and the news media won't talk about it. They'll just be like, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean? Yeah, he never said that.
Biden never said that. He was misquoted. Actually, it's from Twitter, his account. So I guess you could, if you don't want to blame Biden, I guess you could blame Karine Jean-Pierre.
If she's even, I doubt she's even doing it. It's probably her girlfriend that's in charge of it,
probably
not his Twitter. My gosh, this is funny. I can't post it, but it is funny.
Okay.
I would post it, but the only problem is it will get me in trouble.
Yeah.
It's funny. Hey, is it doing that? Something's acting funky on my thing.
Roy, you're dead on. Congress' main job is to pass a federal budget yearly. When was the last time they passed a budget and not just CRs to keep the status quo? Exactly.
Yeah.
That because there have been people that have pushed for a balanced budget amendment. That's one of the things in the state of Tennessee is we do have a balanced budget amendment. So every year the budget has to be balanced. It cannot be a zero or negative.
Yeah. I'm wondering when they're gonna make that actually happen.
Never. They're running on credit, and the credit limit keeps going up, so they keep charging more.
Yeah. Man. Yeah, there's so many there's like so many things that I want to bring up that I'm not able to.
Yeah.
I'll bring this one up because this one I can actually bring up because it won't get me in trouble.
Not sure. It's a spending goal, not a budget.
There you go. From Donald Trump. Thank you everyone for your thoughts and prayers yesterday, as it was God alone who prevented the unthinkable from happening. We will fear not, but instead remain resilient in our faith and defiant in the face of wickedness. Our love goes out to the other victims and their families. We pray for the recovery of those who were wounded and hold in our heart the memory of the citizens who were so horribly killed. In this moment, it is more important than ever that we stand united and show our true character as Americans, remaining strong and determined and not allowing evil to win. I truly love our country and love you all and look forward to speaking to our great nation this week from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And you notice how he didn't go blaming one side or the other.
Nope. Well, that's the way That's exactly the kind of statement you should expect, is identifying what happened and giving merit to innocent lives.
Yeah. Here was the
I don't know why that's a hard concept without having to put in political rhetoric.
Yeah.
Gentleman who was along the fence line, I'm just meeting him right now, sir. Thank you so much. You're talking to KDKA.
Charlie
Can I have
Daniels
your
fan.
name and what did you see and hear?
It was Ben Macer. I was at the same point that probably the witness you were talking to earlier. I was up at the fence line, saw the guy move from roof to roof, told an officer that he was on the roof. The officer come looking. I went back to working, heard that there was somebody that could see the person. So I went back to where they were standing, saw the person, went back and told the officer again that if he goes back to that particular spot, he can see the person, figuring that he would go in radio. And when I turned around to go back to where I was is when the gunshots started, and then it was just chaos and we all came running away, and that was that.
So let me get this right. So you actually saw the man on top of the roof behind us?
Yes.
And you're saying people reported that to law enforcement, saying there's a man on the roof of the building?
Yes, there were two officers that were actively searching. You could tell they were searching and looking for somebody, and we just tried to help and tell them where the guy was. And they, at some point, somebody obviously found him, or the snipers found him, and that was the end of his decisions.
Did you get a good look at the guy on the roof?
I did not have a good look at him.
End of his decisions. I love that.
I just seen him going from one building to another. There was a little gap in between, and he went. And when I went back to see the people that I heard that could see him, seen a quick look at him there, and then went to the officer to tell the officer, and that was all that I got.
How many gunshots did you hear?
I have no idea. It was, at first I didn't know what I heard, and then once it became clear what I heard, that it was just getting out of there, and I helped a lady that had a 4-year-old kid, helped them get out, and that was it. We were done, and everybody went home.
You're obviously shaken up right now just talking to me.
A little bit. It's not every day that you're that close to anything like that.
How far do you think that shooter was from the stage of where the former president was speaking?
Probably 200, 250 yards.
Was it parallel to where the president was, where he was?
I could not see the president, so I'm not 100% sure, but it was definitely close to parallel.
What are your questions right now, just in light of this happening?
I don't have questions. I'm just, curious like anybody else, and just seeing what all is still going on. I live close to here, so I'm just taking it all in and seeing what's going on.
Thank you so much for your time.
Okay. I didn't know that. I mean, but see, I don't know enough about it, and unless I see something like that, I
Well, and the guy's obviously shook up.
Yeah. I mean,
you would be too.
Yes.
As somebody who it takes a lot to impress them, I'd have been shook up.
Yeah.
I'd have been what? When she said, what questions do you have? And I'm like, what just happened?
Yeah.
That'd be my question.
I don't know how I would react in that moment. I mean, I really don't. I've been fortunate enough that I don't go to places where this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
With large crowds. So
yeah. I'll be right back, Shiz.
Yeah, brother. Oh wow! I just saw Melania's little letter here. This thing up. I don't know if I'm going to be able to read it. Let's see if I can. It says, I'll pull it up and read what I can. July 14th. So that was today. This is Melania Trump. Said, I'm thinking of you now, my fellow Americans. We have always been a unique union. America, the fabric of our gentle nation, is tattered, but our courage and common sense must ascend and bring us back together as one. When I watched that violent bullet strike your husband, her husband, Donald, I realized my life and Barron's life were on the brink of a devastating change. I'm grateful to the brave Secret Service agents and law enforcement officials who risked their own lives to protect my husband. To the families of the innocent victims who are now suffering from this heinous act, I humbly offer my sincerest sympathy. Your need to summon your inner strength for such a terrible reason as that. Monster who recognized my husband as an inhuman political machine attempted to wring out Donald's passion, his laughter, ingenuity, love of music, and inspiration. Four faucets of my husband's life, his human side, were buried below the political machine. Donald, the generous and caring man, who I have been with through the best of times and the worst of times. Let us not forget that differing opinions, policy, and political games are inferior to love. Our personal, structural, and life committed until death is at serious risk. Political concepts are simple when compared to us human beings. We are humans, and fundamentally, instinctively, we want to help one another. American politics are only one vehicle that can uplift our communities. Love, compassion, kindness, and empathy are necessities. And let us remember that when the time comes to look beyond the left and the right, beyond the red and the blue, we all come from families with the passion to fight for a better life together while we are here in this earthly realm. Dawn is here again. Let us reunite now. This morning, ascend above the hate, the vitriol, and the simple minded ideas that ignite violence. We all want a world where respect is paramount, family is first, and love transcends. We can realize this world again. Each of us must demand to get it back. We must insist that respect fills the cornerstone of our relationships again. I'm thinking of you, my fellow Americans. The winds of change have arrived. For those of you who cry in support, I thank you. I commend those of you who have reached out beyond the political divide. Thank you for remembering that every single politician is a man or a woman with a loving family. That was from Melania Trump. Pretty thoughtful word.
Well said.
Yeah. I think she did a pretty good job at that. Yeah, there were people that were misquoting who the shooter was.
Well, and that's something I go back to from earlier is in these types of situations, you don't want to go on the first response. You want to wait until the facts come out, wait till all the information comes out. I loved how you got that clip from Traveling Fools with a guy who was there.
Yes.
Who had a firsthand eyewitness account of what happened. But outside of that, he didn't say, well, I think it was this and this and this and this. It was more of, hey, this is what I saw. He wasn't getting into who the person might be, what weapon might have been used, so on and so forth. Because all that stuff's going to come out. You just got to give it time.
And yeah, all these people are like, oh, they're going to hide it. I mean, it possibly. Are we ever going to find out all of every single thing that happened? Probably not right away, but I imagine it's going to be there for quite some time. They'll know what's happening.
Yeah, it's craziness. I mean, I'm sure it's for some reason in my mind, I keep going back to RFK.
Yeah.
And how he was deleted. And
Mhm.
what type of situation must that have been like?
Yeah, it is a sad day whenever we take away the thought behind um this.
And Zach brings up a good point. He said the idea that a rooftop is that close, not either manned or directly covered, is staggering oversight, conspiracy level oversight. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Well, and that's the thing, because one of the Secret Service's job is to cover lines of sight, meaning somebody could post here. I don't care if it's within the venue. If you have a line of sight from a building that's just outside the venue, they got to cover that too.
Yeah. Well, and there's a possibility they were covering it, they just couldn't see it. They may have not seen him until it was too late.
Because believe me, the Secret Service covers their bases thoroughly. I've actually seen it in action. And they are very meticulous. Or at least they were back then.
Well, I'm sure not much has changed on sure that they're
Right.
still there.
So I'm just curious as to how that got missed, or how it got overlooked, or maybe the guy just timed it right.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I've got an idea that the closer and I'd said this last week, that as it gets closer to him announcing his running mate, especially how poorly that Biden did in his debate with Trump, and then his following interviews after that it's going to get worse.
Yeah, and that was going to be the big news, is because during the RNC, usually the night before the nominee speaks, they have their vice presidential nominee speak. So the big news was going to be who's going to be Trump's VP, because there's a lot of speculation, but nobody knows. And now you've got this going on.
Mm-hmm. This takes the wind out of a lot of it.
Yeah. Roy Lanzinger said,
but I think this conspiracy.
Yeah.
You know?
Roy said, my son-in-law was a military sniper on the George W. Bush detail. He said standard Secret Service procedures are to lock down any buildings within 1,000 yards of the engagement site. I believe that.
I can believe that. But he also may have shown up looking like he was supposed to be there.
Maybe.
No. Like I said, we don't have all the details. I know that it was that somebody said that, what was it, that Crowder sent one of his people out there and they've got his house area locked down, where they're just like, yeah, get away.
Yeah, because Crowder notoriously takes July off. Like, he doesn't do any streaming, anything, and he's actually going to have a show tomorrow morning.
Yeah. If you're having a show tomorrow morning because of that,
it's pretty important.
Yeah. And I'll cover it a little bit more tomorrow morning. I knew that I wanted to get that out, so let people know that we've got a stream tonight, that we've got another one that's going to be.
Oh yeah, tonight we're having fun, folks. We're having fun.
Yeah, tonight's going to be fun. There's not going to be any politics.
Nope.
We're if we do get into it, it's going to be like, yeah, that happened, but we're here to have some fun.
Right.
So, I know that Welsh lady, she sent me a message earlier, said she will not be able to make it tonight. which is fine. She said, I'm sorry, not gonna be able to make it. So
Right.
if you're looking forward to having Welsh Lady, then send her well wishes. She'll probably be listening. So
Yes.
we need to give her some happy smiles. And of course, Monday we'll have a stream. So you've got to be subbed up to Expert, to Volstorm, to MG Law, and to me, so you can figure out whose channel we're going to be on for that on Monday.
That's right.
Exactly.
Got to
And
figure.
if you're not,
It's like a rave. You got to pay attention.
yes,
Don't know where we're going to pop up.
it could be anywhere. It could be just we may show up on Nick Recada's channel. You never know.
Yeah, I don't think Nick's going to allow that.
No. And speaking of that, there was I think I showed this the other day. But this really made, because he had spoken about this earlier, and we've as YouTubers, this has been discussed before. It's not an uncommon thought or an uncommon plan that people come up with. And it's this right here. If you haven't seen it,
oh dear Lord,
it's wild.
Did you hear about the LawTube simul streaming thing? You know what I want to do less than anything on earth is stream with like 8 other LawTubers. Because that sounds almost as bad as the situation I'm in. That's how that sounds. Fuck that. Fuck it. Oh God. Like that's the thing that that I was asked to do a long time ago.
Which he was
after Rittenhouse, I think it was, or maybe I think it was after Rittenhouse. I was asked to lead LawTube in like a simul streaming agreement where we shared revenue and all this stuff. And all I could think of was, God, that sounds terrible. That sounds fucking awful. I don't want to do that ever. Yeah, I don't want to do that. No, I'll stream with good lawyers. Not me, of course. Like that's what I'm saying. I'll stream with good lawyers. They're gonna stream with me, but I'll stream with good lawyers who have good commentary. Not all of them do, and fuck's sake, the chaff can be removed from anything I have to deal with. And people who anchor themselves to that LawTube simul stream, to each one of you, I bid you all the best. Good luck. Go for it. Count me out. Count me out, and let me suggest this. I don't care if it becomes the most popular fucking source of trial streaming on the planet. I hope they do really well. Count me out. I don't want it. I don't want it ever.
Yep.
Agreed.
That right there was something that he had discussed. Oh, and it was around Rittenhouse. Because they wanted to do that for death, or people were talking about doing that. And it was right about the time that they came where people could stream, like co-stream,
yeah,
like run off other people's feed, which is not a bad idea. But if you're trying to plan it, it's not organic.
Well, here's the thing.
Egos run into one another.
Here's the thing. If you're the one carrying the load, why would you want to share?
Right.
There were people tuned in for Recaida because, yes, he has his legal opinions, but he's entertaining. I mean, if you watch some of these, I noticed it during the Alec Baldwin trial. You're sitting there watching a bunch of lawyers try to climb all over themselves to get in their legal opinions. And while some of the information is fine, it can also be overload for the average person.
Yes.
And it's boring. It's boring.
Well, and things, because then nothing, then it becomes just this big back and forth discussion argument, and they never have like any good. You miss out on so much.
Right.
It's almost like they can't carry the load on their own. Oh, hello, boy. Good to see you,
Tom
Tom
Gillis.
and the myth, the legend. No, it is it because then you get egos, and instead of just letting it organically happen, having a fun time, it seems like a job at that point.
Exactly.
I'm just like, over 4 is too many. Well, exactly, Rosalind. Now, what's really cool is whenever you see people that do this stuff on their own, and they're entertaining. You know, I'm like, cool, good, awesome. That's what you want to be. But if you're relying on everybody else to make it entertaining for you, then well, you're going to end up with ego. Like, think about this. How many times have you seen expert do a stream on his own and keep chat just completely engaged, and he has fun. He's cracking jokes. He's getting squirreled off the scene.
Right.
And then turn around and goes over to MG, and I join over there with MG, and we have a good time. We laugh, we joke, we cracking each other up, and most of the time we derail the hell out of it, and then, but it's still MG, so we watch what we do because it's not our channel, and we don't want
Right.
you know, it's about that, you know, and the way that it benefits expert and I guess it's just because we enjoy hanging out and having
Right.
fun
You
with somebody.
do it for fun.
Yeah. You know, it's just, I don't know. I think Nick's pretty much hitting it right on the money, and he said it before. You know, doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You want to see something sort of gross?
Oh Lord.
I watched these last night after I streamed.
Extremely obvious, and the pain was immense, but fixing it was anything but simple.
Poor critters.
Yeah, he's fixing hooves of cattle. Isn't that weird?
Yeah. Somebody has to.
But yeah, he just goes through and he's like peeling off like parts of their hoof and making sure that they're healed up, and like, oh yeah, especially the night of the corn.
Oh, I know it.
I know. It's those kinds of weird things that we just had so much fun with,
Yeah.
and we still do.
I'll be right back, man.
All right, brother. Yeah, Nick was one of the first law tubers you watched. Thanks to Depp versus the Heard trial, he was so good and fun to watch, to see him spiral so far. But yeah, I mean, nobody's immune to making bad decisions. Trust me, we do those all the time. Oh, it's on early on stream of Nick's. I like that, Nick. The one I just saw is the biggest Nick you've ever seen. Yeah. I have not watched Nick in a while, but he looked much better than on Valhalla's birthday stream. Yeah, he did. I actually had to go back and watch that. It was pretty good. Yeah. Oh, real close. Yeah. I mean, but see, that's the thing. We don't know all of the situation. That's why I'm not opining on that, because I don't know what the situation is with Nick. So I don't I don't assume to know what happened, what's going on. It's an active court case, and whatever happens is going to happen in this court case. Can't, because I wasn't there. I don't know. I know what I saw, but that doesn't. Things can be deceiving, I guess is the best way that I can put that. Things can be deceiving, and you generally are hearing certain side of the story, whether it's all true, partially true. Guess it all comes out in the wash eventually. That's something that does happen. I'm going to probably cover something a little bit more tomorrow that I think is pretty good. We'll have to see how tomorrow morning goes.
Yeah, tomorrow morning ought to be interesting.
Yeah,
to see what all comes out.
There's going to be one that's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
There's so much of it.
Oh, you're going to get overloaded this week.
I know.
Overloaded, man.
I'm going to have to take time for myself to make sure that I don't go too far.
Yeah, make sure you plan your naps out this week, Shiz.
Yeah, they will be planned out pretty well. This next one I'm going to show. Yeah.
The Levy County Sheriff spent over an hour raiding Lynette and Crook's home when they arrested him and took all firearms away.
Oh, dear Lord.
Yeah. And it is they go through a little bit of this here where they were doing an interview and then went over and interviewed her. That's their blessing box right here. That's not their blood. I guess
that is not a blessing box.
But he's something that Jeremy said
Came
right
out
here.
the window with something held out the window. John doesn't see very well. He couldn't tell the difference between a gun or a phone.
Levy County Sheriff's deputies say lack of evidence and conflicting statements hampered the investigation before a warrant was served. After that, evidence of the supposed assault was recovered as well as the gun. In Otter Creek, Kayla Lewis, TV 20 News.
Let's break down what Lynette says on camera a little bit. But before I do, let me share that I have a very good relationship with Channel 20. And Kayla was over there interviewing Lynette for over 30 minutes. You see just seconds. They have over 30 minutes of tape, which I have then gone.
Oh, just so you guys know, that's typical.
Yeah, that's normal.
If anybody ever asks, because my wife's been interviewed multiple times,
right?
And whenever she's interviewed, it might be an hour-long, 2-hour-long conversation that they have, and they just take like 5 minutes of whatever they want to use.
Yeah, it's like whenever you're taking a video and maybe you're doing a pre-recorded stream,
right?
You're going through tons of footage to get exactly what you want.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, tons of footage. So yeah, of course they were over there interviewing her for 30 minutes and they only took a few seconds. It happens on the news all the time.
Oh yeah, that's not abnormal. But what he says next is very important.
See just seconds. They have over 30 minutes of tape, which I have then gone to Channel 20 and said, I need you to preserve all of that as evidence in court, which we will now be using as evidence in court against Lynette. And you say, can you? Well, of course. She told Judge Craig DeThomasis that she's paralyzed to her property and she never goes anywhere. She can't leave because she's so scared. And what's the first thing? She wasn't home. So number one, she's a not credible eyewitness. She wasn't even there. So she's lied to the courts, first and foremost. She's not home. There's not even a home, but we'll just say home as in 1.66 acres of a turd purgatory. All right, let's go a little bit further in this.
Yes.
That's funny.
And that is, let me see. There was something else here that was interesting.
John
this
Cook,
is it.
24072516. John Cook. Good morning, Mr. Cook. Mr. Cook, you're being held on a charge of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Do you understand your rights as I've explained them to you?
Yes.
Can you afford to hire your own lawyer?
No.
Would you like for the court to appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you?
Yes.
Thank you, I'll do so. And we'll hear from the state.
Your Honor, he does have a prior failure to appear as recent as 2016. He has no other history since 2016. He does have prior adjudications of violence. I believe the most recent in that is 2003. The state would request that a bond is set and would defer to the court.
Thank you. On behalf of the defense.
Your Honor, I'm unable to confirm the history at this time. I don't have that Levi County paperwork, but we would just request a reasonable bond.
Okay, thank you.
All the women are lawyers. I love it. That's awesome.
Mr. Cook, the court does find probable cause for the charges. As a condition of any release, you're not to have any direct or indirect contact with the listed victim, Wesley Dockery. Do not call, text, write. Do not try to contact Mr. Dockery through social media, through a third party. No contact whatsoever. Jail staff just handed you a copy of the no contact order. As a condition of any release, you're not to possess any weapons or firearms. Given the allegations contained within the arrest report, the court is going to set bond in this matter, and bond's going to be set at $75,000. Thank you, Mr. Cook.
And was the public defender appointed?
I didn't hear you.
Was the public defender appointed?
Yes, I did appoint the Office of the Public Defender. Thank you.
As of right now, the state is going after one aggravated assault with a deadly weapon without intent to unalive. Now, here's my question for Levy County and for the state's office. Anytime somebody pulls out a firearm, that intent is to unalive somebody. You never pull out a firearm unless you have that intent. Now, we know that Crook sometimes carries a 9mm.
And he does address this. The current restraining order against him is in Ohio.
Yeah, not Florida.
So not in Florida, although it does cover Florida, but later on in this, he goes over that also. So just bear in mind.
We don't know every firearm they have there. I carry a 45 when I legally have my Second Amendment right that hasn't illegally been taken away from me by Judge Craig Thomas's. The difference is a 9mm typically will maim, whereas a 45 will unalive.
That's
because
untrue.
when you pull out a firearm,
very untrue.
The intent is always there to unalive somebody. Now let's look at bond as well. $75,000 in bond. So what does that mean for Crook? That means Crook has to come up with $7,500. And it goes on to say the state would have to prove Miss Preston.
Oh, here it
they
is.
have
Here it is.
very slim. I don't care evidence and reports in this case. The state has determined he will be by default found guilty. The thing I find most
What he was talking about is he is supposed to be in Ohio.
Woman to help him through this process.
Here we go.
Lump sum cash. And then they have to have the rest of the money somehow as well as collateral. Well, what do they have? They've got 1.66 acres that they overpaid for. They do not have a home. They have a camper that they actually have a mortgage on. They have a Jeep that they have a mortgage on, and sheds that they illegally live in. The reality of Crook getting out of jail in time on this bond of $7,500, 10% down payment, is between slim and none. So, is he going to be at his Ohio hearing in just a few days? My guess is no way. And as such, I don't even think he'll be on Zoom. He will be, by default, found guilty. The thing I find most concerning, the day that Crook is actually arrested for this, the state drops all potential charges against him and Lynette for breaking the civil protection order, which they are actually going to be in court in just a few days in Ohio. So now, where we had hope that things were going to the 5th district in Ocala, now we are losing all hope. As it says here, in the county court of the 8th Judicial Circuit of the state of Florida and in Levy County, state of Florida versus Lynette Preston. Again, I'll show it to you right here. You can see it right there, Lynette Preston, and I'll scroll over for the charge. Violation of the injunction. It's going to be the exact same for Crook. And they literally go on to say, comes now the state of Florida by and through its undersigned assistant state attorney announces that it will file no information in the above entitled case cause based on the following grounds. After a review of all the video evidence and reports in this case, the state has determined the likelihood of conviction is slight, and therefore this case should not be prosecuted. Can you freaking believe this?
Yes.
Oh, just in case you guys are wondering what that means, is they are not going to prosecute the case against Lynette and Crook for showing up at the town hall meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
An hour and a half of violating a civil protection order. An hour and a half of purposefully, intentionally being at town hall while George is there when she is mandated by the law to leave, when he is mandated by the law to leave. And the state is now going, nope, the likelihood of a conviction is very slim. I don't care if the likelihood is slim. Convict them. This is so cut and dry. Are you allowed to be within 500 feet of George? No. Did you know George was there? Yes. I actually had my camera out filming her. And then I sent it to the deputies, which Jeremy has a copy of. And I sent it to Silver Scam, which Jeremy's going to have that subpoenaed as well. All the proof is there. There's nothing slim about it. They're going to court in Ohio for it in just a matter of days. And guess what Ohio is going to do? They're going to say they're guilty. How is it that Ohio has found them guilty on everything, and somehow in this ridiculousness of Florida corruption, they're letting everything slide to the point of when a firearm is pointed at an 8-year-old girl, a child? It should never, ever get to this point. They keep emboldening them. They keep empowering them. And somebody's going to get seriously hurt by them. Here's another one they dropped on Lynette. This is when Lynette texts me. They have all the proof. And they go on to say this. Although it is clear from the evidence that Lynette Preston sent a screenshot of a prior text message conversation to Jeremy Hales, it's unclear that she did so willfully. Excuse me? She even admits she did it. And they go, it's unclear she did so willfully. There's only one individual that could send that. It's her. Now, if I would have done this, I would have been arrested immediately in Florida, wouldn't I? You know that. I know that, right?
Yep.
Here's the thing that probably nobody has thought of. They probably have bigger fish to fry than to worry about a violation of a restraining order.
Exactly.
I mean, just I'm not
No,
throwing shade in any way, shape, or form, but
that is the sad part about that. They're going really over this. This is
they're going.
too diddly.
We have our time and resources in bigger
Fish.
cases that mean more than to worry about a violation of a protection order.
And it's sad.
Trust me,
That's
I've
how it
talked to
works.
some of these people. This is the way their minds work. It's like, no, that's not big enough for us to even fool with. So no, we're not gonna pursue charges.
Yeah, it's small beans for them. It takes up court's time whenever they may have somebody that was trafficking or somebody that did commit a heinous crime, like maybe shooting someone's ear off or something.
Yeah, and they're and they probably also had the opinion of, well, we know Ohio will take this up, so we don't have to spend our resources full with this.
True. Dereliction of duty? No, they're
Not necessarily.
They have every ability to try or not to try something. It sucks, but that's the way that it goes.
Yep.
This is going on for years. They don't have to be. I mean, as much as you want them to be, doesn't mean they have to be. It eventually will bite the state in the butt, especially whenever, this stuff gets brought up in whenever they do commit something that's heinous. That's going to be at the point that you'll see, because the way Jeremy is, he's very litigious.
Yes.
More than likely, they'll sue the state, the county, city, because they allowed it to happen. If something were to happen to him or George,
Right.
I'll have no fury the amount of suing that would happen on that in this area.
Exactly. Because I mean, if somebody like Crook is going to do that to just some random people that are doing nothing but, a little girl donating to their box, to their blessing box,
Yeah,
and him just go crazy, imagine what he would do with either Jeremy or George.
Yeah. Yeah. It's scary. Scary. And I know I know it sucks, but this is how court runs.
Yeah. This is how the legal system works. Right, wrong, or indifferent.
Yeah. And you stick around long enough, you'll understand that.
Yeah.
A lot of lawyers already know this, and that's why they say the things that they say.
Yeah, because you can look, you can sue somebody, you can charge somebody, but it all comes down to, number one, is it worth the time and resources? Number two, would you actually be able to get a conviction?
Right.
And if you don't believe that you will, they're not going to pursue it.
My wife was reached out to by somebody that's like a regular someone that she counsels on a regular basis.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the word that she does things for them, whether it's legal work. She represents them. There you go.
Right.
She represents them in other cases. And they brought something to her and she said, this is something that you want to take to small claims court, because the amount that you're going to be spending on me just to take and bring this, you're gonna lose your money. It's not cost effective for you.
Because whenever you have the idea in your head of, well, I'm going to sue somebody over this because it's just wrong, your lawyer is going to look at you and go, okay, this is what it's going to cost you for you to be able to get this small amount. Now, if you're doing it out of principle and money is not an object, yeah, go right ahead. But most of us live in the real world where there is a limit.
Yes.
And your attorney is going to tell you it's going to cost you more in my legal fees than it is for you to get back what you lost.
Well, and my wife has a client that that he, against one specific person, he goes, I don't care if it costs me more. I'm doing it out of the principle because I know I want to watch this guy squirm.
Right. Right.
And
And
I'm
there are
like,
people
Yep.
that kind of resources that can do that. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not one of them.
No,
You know?
no, I'm definitely not one of them.
Like I would look at it if it was small claims, do small claims, but outside of that, I'm just like, yeah, I'm not going after people. That's just silly.
Right.
It's too much. But let's see. I think that's really all I had to cover, except for, this week is going to be crazy. So you guys make sure that you've got the notifications turned on, because Monday starting fresh, and we'll see how the rest of the week goes. Right now, both campaigns are building up. They're shoring up their side and their talking points, and it's going to get crazy this next week, all up until they really do something. Did they ever figure out? That's the thing. There was a nothing burger on that.
Yeah.
Oh, so he's about to speak live on the events from yesterday? Is he really?
Well, he did that last night.
Is he doing it again?
Of course he is.
Well, let's see.
Because his handlers have told him to get out there and talk about it.
Have they?
You know they have.
I'm not seeing. Oh, I guess the White House is getting ready to say something.
Is it going to be him, or is it
Oh,
going
here
to
it
be?
is. Here it is. It is actually live right now. Tab instead, and to the stage, and zoom it in, and we'll.
Here we go.
Here it is.
Good afternoon. Last night, I spoke with Donald Trump.
Good.
I'm sincerely grateful that he's doing well and recovering. And we had a short but good conversation. Jill and I are keeping him and his family in our prayers. We also extend our deepest condolences to the family of the victim who was killed. He was a father. He was protecting his family from the bullets that were being fired. And he lost his life. God love him.
Now, if you say anything about
good start,
if he says anything about firearms and putting bans on them, I'm not going to have nice words to say.
Me either.
For the full recovery of those who were injured. And we're grateful to the Secret Service agents and other law enforcement agencies and individuals who risked their lives literally for our nation. As I said last night, there's no place in America for this kind of violence, or any violence for that matter. An assassination attempt is contrary to everything we stand for as a nation, everything. It's not who we are as a nation. It's not America. And we cannot allow this to happen. Unity is the most elusive goal of all, but nothing is important than that right now, unity. We'll debate and we'll disagree. That's not going to change, but we're going to not lose sight, in fact, who we are as Americans. Look, Vice President Harris and I were just briefed in the Situation Room by my Homeland Security team, including the Director of the FBI, the Secretary of Homeland Security, the Attorney General, the Director of the Secret Service, my Homeland Security Advisor, the National Security Advisor.
His Homeland Security Advisor?
Continue to be briefed. The FBI is leading this investigation, which is still in its early stages.
Yes.
We don't yet have any information about the motive of the shooter. We know who he is. I urge everyone, please, don't make assumptions about his motives or his affiliations.
That's right.
The FBI do their job, and their partner agencies do their job.
You know, I said
this investigation be.
Yeah, I know why he said that. He said that because he is whose side they're going to find out that he most likely is on. They're going to keep that quiet as long as possible. So yeah, don't read too much into it, but just be aware that that's what's going to happen. Of course, you got Merrick Garland and Hamilton over here.
Hamilton, yeah.
Yeah, Merrick's reading one teleprompter and Hamilton's reading the other.
Thorough and swift. And the investigators will have every resource they need to get this done. Look, as this investigation continues, here's what we're going to do. First, Mr. Trump, as a former president and nominee of the Republican Party, already receives a heightened level of security. and I've been consistent in my direction of the Secret Service to provide him with every resource, capability, and protective measure necessary to ensure his continued safety. Second, I've directed the head of the Secret Service to review all security measures for the Republican National Convention, which is scheduled to start tomorrow. And third, I've directed an independent review of the national security at yesterday's rally to assess exactly what happened, and we'll share the results of that independent review with the American people as well. And finally, I'll be speaking more about this tonight at greater length from the Oval Office. We must unite as one nation. We must unite as one nation to demonstrate who we are. And so may God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, when you spoke to
Okay.
President Trump yesterday,
What, the troops? Why is he talking about the troops?
Well, that was probably one of the best speeches he's ever done. He
Yeah.
stuck to the facts. He didn't put any rhetoric in there.
Yep.
But he also did say he was going to speak from the Oval Office tonight.
Yeah, that's not the Oval Office.
Well, but that's probably when the rhetoric will come in.
Yeah. So he's speaking from the Oval Office too. This was just a
yes.
Campaign strategy, Mr. President. President, do you regret?
Yeah, he ain't answering any of your questions.
Good. I mean
that was
if Biden did more stuff like that, people would have a better opinion of him.
Yeah, they would have a much better opinion of him.
Yeah, he didn't throw in his political beliefs. All he said was, he talked about unity.
Yep,
it was brief. It was to the point, and that was actually a good speech.
It was a good speech. I mean, we know there's some veiled stuff underneath all that, but yeah, that was about as good as he could go.
Yeah.
That's another lie. He wouldn't give Trump the extra FBI or Secret Service. He is not in charge of that. Secret Service is in charge of that.
So if you don't want to watch Biden in the Oval Office, be sure to tune into us tonight.
Exactly. If you want to
We'll
watch
have more fun.
You want to hear something that's going to be so much better.
So much better.
So much. Well, it is 2:00 in the afternoon. I've burned up about 3 hours of your time, and I know that everybody's doing something, and I know that right now Baker is streaming, so I'm sending all of you fine folks over to go check out the Baker. Make sure that you send him a little bit of love, give him a smile, give him a grin, tell him that you care, and be looking out for this. Whenever you see this on one of our channels, you'll know what is happening on Monday. Works.